Hello internets, I want to talk to you about this picture I've seen passed around on all social media platforms over the years. It is the biggest feminists recruitment picture, and it is full of intentionally left out details. Mainly, I want to talk about the girl on the right, but, for the sake of completion, we need to address the whole thing, so let's start with the guy on the left, Brock Turner. Brock served only 3 months in jail for grabbing an unconscious girl, because doing more jail time would ruin his life. Here the picture is 100% correct. 3 months for grape is a far too lenient sentence. He was initially sentenced to 6 months, when it should have been years, and he was released after 3 for good behavior. He was held in protective custody, which begs the question, how was he supposed to have an actual bad behavior when he is isolated from the rest of the inmates 24/7? There should be no early releases if someone was held in protective custody. But, now, I have a follow-up question. How much jail time did Brock's rapist ended up serving? Yes, you heard me right, Brock Turner was grapped. Tested some time after his arrest, Turner's blood alcohol content was estimated to have been 0.171% at 1 a.m., which is twice over the amount of the driving limit. While 0.08% is the limit for drinking and driving, what is the limit for sexual relationships? The answer is, there is no blood alcohol level that automatically means someone is unable to consent to sex. Because someone's tolerance to alcohol might be much lower than the average and because other factors might affect their tolerance, such as drugs whether therapeutic or illicit. For those reasons we turn to case laws and it's to the perpetrator to know whether the victim's motor functions or speech were noticeably impaired, and whether the victim became sick. On the blood alcohol concentration chart we find the impairment of motor functions and speech at above 0.1%. Brock's blood alcohol level was way above that, at 0.171%. This is still not sufficient enough to render a verdict, because tolerance can go both ways and you can have all your capacities at higher blood alcohol concentrations. And even then, there have been some cases where judges ruled that since the victim was conscious they could give consent. In those cases Brock would not have been considered grapped. So theoretically, was Brock grapped? The answer is, maybe. It would all depend on the judge or the jury. But legally, was he grapped though? The answer is, no. Because in the United States, the legal definition of grapes is the penetration, no matter how slight, of the censored or censored with any body part or object, or oral penetration by a sex organ of another person, without the consent of the victim. So the bigger picture I was trying to paint here is nothing to do with Brock, it's about the fact that by law, a woman cannot legally grape a man. If that seems unfair, it's because it is. This problem is also not only found in the United States, but all over the world, and in recent years, those pesky men's rights activists are pushing petitions to have that changed. With zero success however. Feminist gatekeeping of the definition of these laws is very potent. Can you imagine if every time a feminist accuses a man of grape because she was drunk and he turns around and goes, "But, I was as drunk as you," and this now has an effect on the outcome of a trial? I strongly think it should have an effect, because if you are too drunk to legally consent, you are also too drunk to realize someone else is too drunk to legally consent. It should either be, option 1, they both go to jail, or option 2, neither go to jail. Pick any of those options, I'm fine with both because they treat everyone equally. But we can't have that, because the feminists who writes the rules have decided that when 2 people are drunk, there is only one therapist. Quick progress side note, since the inception of that 2012 federal definition of grape, many states have adopted their own, often modernized their laws them to include women on men grape, but legacy of the original definitions remains and prevented Brock from getting justice. In conclusion, sorry Brock, you were born the wrong gender, enjoy your lifetime membership on the sex offenders registry. Now, for the juicy part, the girl on the right. Meanwhile, teen Cyntoia Brown has to serve 51 years in prison for killing her rapist. Feminists organized a massive campaign to have her freed because she was only defending herself from a rapist when she murdered her victim. If by defending herself, you mean, shooting him in the head while he slept. Based on the position in which his body was discovered, investigators believe that Allen was asleep when he was shot. According to court documents, Brown allegedly attacked and threatened a nurse at the Mental Health Institute after the nurse did not allow her to call her adoptive mother. The nurse claimed that Brown jumped over her desk, grabbed her hair and face, and hit her. During the attack, Brown allegedly told the nurse, "I shot that man in the back of the head 1 time. I'm gonna shoot you in the back of the head 3 times. I'd love to hear your blood splatter on the wall." The nurse, along with another Health Institute employee who witnessed the incident, testified at the trial. She did get to call her adoptive mother though, from the jailhouse, and, little did she know, those phone calls are recorded. During the call, Brown said, "I killed somebody. I executed him." The motive was robbery. The detective further asserted that Brown told the neighbor that the killing was a fat lick robbery, and that she had been waiting on a lick like that all week. Also, let's go back. Meanwhile, teen Cyntoia Brown has to serve 51 years in jail for killing her grapist. If by grapist, you mean the guy she did not have sex with. You see, in fact, Johnny Allen, her victim, spotted her on the side of the road, doing what prostitutes do, felt bad for her, bought her food and gave her a place to sleep. Actually sounds like a decent guy, but that would not stop feminists from calling him a grapist during their campaign. In the end, she was tried as an adult because of the severity of the crime, found guilty of first-degree murder and sentenced to life in prison. But because of her legal defense plan, she stated that she was only defending herself, and, because it's believe all women, to hell with coroner reports and recorded admissions of guilt during phone calls. In the end, feminists managed to get her freed. The governor of Tennessee commuted her sentence despite pleas from the family of her victim who told him everything I just told you at the hearing. He sided with the feminists, and that shows you how much political power women's groups actually wield, and yes, he is a Republican. But before I let you go, I want to play a game. It's called a reverse Brock Turner. What do you think would happen if the genders in the Brock Turner case were reversed? Ha ha, got you. This isn't an hypothetical, we actually do know. Let's look at this article from the Washington Examiner. Man receives sex act while blacked out, gets accused of sexual assault. While he was blacked out, she performed oral sex on him. Nearly 2 years later, she would accuse him of sexual assault. And under Amherst's guilty until proven innocent hearing standards, the accused student was expelled. So sorry men, you were all born the wrong gender.